All right, everybody. I know I be talking in black, but I just don't be feeling like when I'm in the house and I get in these modes, I got my scarf on, I got my house clothes on, like a t-shirt, and I don't really be dressed. Like I'm home by myself, like so I don't be dressed like to be on no cameras or nothing. But anyway, I want to say a rest in peace to my guy, Markie D, Prince Markie D, Mark Morales of the Fat Boys. He was a big part of my makeup because upon me first meeting him, I was real rude to him. I was like, "You stink," because he had just come from football practice and he had on his uniform, and I was like, "You need to go take a shower before you come in the classroom." So I was fucking with him, and he took it like a champ, and we became friends like that very same day. And the next day, because we was in the same class in junior high school, he came in and he was like, "I bet you could rhyme or something." He said something to me like he dared me to rhyme or something. And I said, "I can't rhyme." And he was like, "Yes, you can." And he wrote me one. And I don't remember it all the way, but I think it was like, "Well, I'm Nene Love and I'm from the East. As you could tell, I'm very sweet. I got a little face and a pair of brown eyes. All I'm here to do is hypnotize," something like that. So the next day when I came to class, because I was hyped now, like I have said my first rhyme, and I went home because back in that time, I always like to tell y'all so y'all can understand the difference between then and now, and so I could place you there because I wish I could take y'all there with me. One day y'all would never want to come to where we are now. It's not that it's better. It was just a time where we were more freer to be creative, I guess. They hadn't like zoomed in on us that much, and we still had our creative freedom. So it wasn't hindered really by nothing until a little later. So around this time, it was pure. So I went back to school the next day. Instead of having my homework and shit, I had a rhyme. And I only remember like 6 bars from it. This was, guys, believe it or not, this was, I think, 1982 or 3. And I came in the classroom and I was like, I read him my rhyme that I wrote. I was like, no, as a matter of fact, I wrote it in a class. And then I read it to him. I was like, well, I was sitting in the class just being bored. The teacher was talking and being ignored. I pulled out a piece of paper and I started to write. And what I wrote on the paper was a sheer delight. I started talking about my man, the one I love. He's the one I'm always thinking of. And that's all I remember. And he was like, yo, you wrote that just now? I was like, yeah. So from then on, y'all, I was with them every day. Every day. We never went to school. Me and my other 3 homegirls and my homeboy Sharif, that's like a brother to me. We was to be there every day. Me, Buff, Damon, Mark. Those 3 are the fat boys. And the rest of the crew. So we would be in the house playing hooky. And Buff the human beatbox, R.I.P. Buff, um, he had equipment in his house. His big brother was a DJ, so he had equipment. And Buff would be behind the turntables with his big butt, just shaking his butt while he mixing. And he was such a character, y'all. He was such a character. If you watch the movie Disorderlies, you will see that was really them. That's really how they was with each other. And if you watch the movie Crush Groove, you could see it too. It was Crush Groove was actually based on them for real because they shortly after I started hanging out with them, the radio station used to come to our high school, Jeff, and they had a contest, a talent show one time, and they was like, "We gonna be in that talent show. We gonna win that talent show because the prize was a contract, a record contract." So this was the beginning stage. I would say hip hop was only like 5 or 6 years old then, and mind you, I wasn't going to school at that time. It was too exciting. It was too exciting, y'all. This was the time when hip hop was forming. So it was, oh, it was off the hook. Like you couldn't stay in the house. Like if you could be in the house and you'll hear music coming from the park. So you would go to the park and it would be popping in the park. It would be lit in the park, y'all. Lit. But back to this now. We was cutting school every day. We wasn't going to school, so I kept getting in trouble, and they was practicing for the contest. They was known as the Disco 3. But my mother had found out I wasn't going to school, and she sent me away. Cause mind you, Buff wound up teaching me how to mix on his brother's equipment, and Damon used to help me. Like I would recite my rhymes to Damon. He was like, "Yo, that just sound hot. Like, it make you want to dance the way the rhythm, the rhythm that you used." So when I said my line, like the flow of it. But my mother sent me to Virginia, and when she sent me to Virginia, that was when they won the contest. So a year later, I came back, and it was summertime. I will never forget this. And my homegirls from Pink Houses, not too far from where I was, which was Linden Houses, they called me. They was like, they heard I was back, and I hadn't really talked to anybody else. Like they was the first ones that knew I was back, and they came and got me and took me to their house. And she said, "You ain't know about them? They made it. They made it." She kept saying they made it. I'm like, who? And she put the record on, and it said "Fat Fat Fat Boys." And I was like, oh shit, like they really did make it. And I'm telling you, that record had my neighborhood so lit because it was, the first time that one of us from my generation had made it big. We already had the group Sky. I don't know if you guys know who Sky is, but they were a very popular R&B group. And if you look them up, SKYY, I'm sure you heard one of their songs or two of their songs. I think their biggest hit was Call Me. Call me if you need someone to talk to. That was Sky. We didn't know at the time they was in the neighborhood. All of their hit records they was recording here in East New York. Right in the midst of all the drug dealings and all the street shit that was going on. This R&B group had a studio right there, and they were recording those songs. But so we came back. I came back. They was already popping, and then they had a new song coming out called "In Jail," and I always thought that they thought of that when my boyfriend at the time, John, got locked up because he was one of the first in my generation, like in my crew, in my community that had gotten arrested and was actually doing hard time. So I think that's where the idea for that song came. And then they did the movie Crush Groove. And at the time they did Crush Groove, I was pregnant. And my homegirl, Audrey, she threw a baby shower for me. And I mean, it was girls, but dudes was coming to my baby shower. Like word was getting around that my baby shower was on, and everybody was stopping by. And he stopped by. Mark, he stopped by to my baby shower. I think it was him and Damon. I don't think Buff was there, but I think him and Kovacsky stopped to my baby shower, and I was like, wow, like they're superstars now. They actually had a movie in the movie theaters. They was with the top rap artists at the time, Run DMC, LL Cool J, Def Jam, Russell Simmons. He was with them, and Curtis Blow. And he came to my little baby shower and rubbed my stomach and everything. And, I had a really good relationship. But I skipped over, like, before he became a star, before they made it, I used to be with this girl. I'm going to call her Lisa for now. I don't want to say her name. But he was messing with my friend, and he kept saying, look, I don't want you to hang out with her no more. Because she be doing some shit that I don't think you should be around. I was about 13 or 14 at the time. And I was like, you're lying on her. Stop lying. The things he was telling me. So he was like, he got tired of me saying he was lying, and he had this little hole in his bathroom, and he was like, I'm gonna take her in the bathroom, and I want you to look in the bathroom in 10 or 15 minutes. Oh my God, y'all, why did I look in that bathroom? It was some X-rated shit for my little eyes, my little innocent young eyes to see. But Sharif was there too, and Sharif looked in the hole with me. And I was disgusted, y'all. I was so disgusted. I was like, she's disgusted. I don't know how she could do that. But those are just memories that I have. And I'm realizing that me growing up where I did, at the location, at the time that I was growing up, I was in the midst of a bunch of superstars. Carl Kanai was the first urban designer to like really blow up. He was from my neighborhood. Mike Tyson, um, first, of our generation to be a great boxer. He's considered one of the greatest ever. And I would see him like, and if I go to the club, there he goes. Everybody, there go Mike. Like that's a privilege. And I went to a club one time, and I went to the bar, and when I turned around, I got the drink in my hand. I turned around, and Mike Tyson is standing in front of me with his arms folded up to his chest. Like, you know, he was very proud of himself. I didn't know who he was at the time, but he was standing in front of me, and all I can remember is his neck. He had this huge neck. I'm going to find a picture and put it on my Instagram page. He had this neck, y'all. I think I came up, my height was like my eyes was focused on his neck because that was where I reached him. Because he was a little taller than me, he was older than me, but he was posing in front of me like he was so proud, like, look at me, like, look at me. And I looked at him for like 10 seconds, like, wow. And then I went around him. But I ran into Mike Tyson a couple of times. And it was like nothing to run into him. At the height of his fame, he would be everywhere. He always came home. He was always at the clubs with us. And he wasn't too stuck up that he wouldn't be around his neighborhood. And that's one thing I can say about he still comes back. Matter of fact, he came back summer before last he was here, before COVID. So I'm really gonna. I haven't spoken to Mark I think I spoke to him on Twitter like 2 years ago, but I kind of like was feeling like I should reach out to him, and I didn't, and I wish that I did. So I want to say to y'all, I know we're in really rough times, and you guys have to have like this rough persona, and it's kind of like cool to not show love to people, but show some love to your people because you never know when they're gonna go. Like, and when you get to my age, which is not old, you know what I'm saying? Old is 65 and over. We're still middle aged, and there's a lot of us dying, like really too early. Like it's too early for them to be dying like this. And just last week we lost somebody, R.I.P. Duke. Um, these are people that we identify ourselves with. So every time somebody dies, it's like a piece of my era is gone, a piece of me is gone. And Markie D, Prince Markie D, played a very big part in my identity and my musical uh, interests. And he was the one that had me to start rhyming, and I became pretty good at it. Um, and I still do it from time to time. I'll write a verse if it comes to my head, or I'll make it into a poem. But another piece of me, another piece of my movie is gone. But peace and love. I hope everybody's okay. Stay up. I hope we don't get no more crazy, crazy news because, like, we've been having some crazy news since 2021 started. And I'm hoping everything's getting better in Texas. I got to look into that. And you guys have a good evening. Have a good week. Peace.